Welcome to the Between the Fur podcast, the show that allows professional mascot performers from the NBA and other pro sports to share their bizarre, funny and inspirational stories and give exclusive insight on what it's like behind the scenes and between the fur. Hosted by award-winning NBA mascot performer, Ken Solomon.
Hey, welcome back to Between the Fur. Man, we're doing something different today with Robert Boudwin. Robert Boudwin's back. He's been on a few times before.
Kenny,
yes.
When you say my name, please put the word "the" in front of it.
The or the. How do you want it pronounced?
The would be better, actually. Thank you.
Okay, I thought so. The Robert Boudwin. Or should I just call you RB?
The RB. Just
the
make sure
RB.
you put the word "the" in front of it.
The.
Listen, Ken, first of all, you're welcome for having me on your podcast. I don't really do these things anymore as a mascot now that I'm an author. And I very quickly forgot my roots. And, I'm better than everybody now because I'm an author. So,
yes, and we are going to talk about your book. Hopefully, you'll bless us with that. Just
and when we do, and this is a disclaimer for you and any of your listeners, just remember anything that I say or disclose on this call and in my book, I just want to remind you all that the statute of limitations for civil suits is 2 years and criminal suits is 7 years. I've been gone from the Rockets 8 years. That is not a coincidence, my friend.
Mike, drop. And is it statue or statute?
I'm from Philadelphia. We pronounce everything wrong. I'm taking off my author glasses now.
Oh, okay. I love it.
In all seriousness, congratulations on that final season, winning a championship.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Man, my last game was like the game, right?
Yeah.
That's the game to go out on.
Could you show me the ring that you have from that?
Oh, you got to go there. Let's see. It would be right there. Yeah, no, I didn't get a ring. They haven't given me a ring yet. And to be fair, they haven't given the majority of the organization rings. I just talked to Scott Hastings last night, and he's former player. He's our color announcer and everything. Nothing yet. Nope.
Well, hold on a second here. I'm going to schedule my flight out to Denver right now, and I'm going to rectify this the only way I know how, with violence.
It's the last resort, but hey, we're there.
It's the last resort for most. It's the first resort for me and Putin.
Yes. First, you're a first responder in a different way.
Yes. Very good.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, you're funny out of costume too.
What? So, all right, what we're doing different today is we're going to go through Clutch's top 10 bloopers. This is from when Robert Boudwin, the Robert Boudwin, was Clutch for the Houston Rockets. This is his top 10 bloopers. Now,
so basically your podcast is all about celebrating mascots, and this is the first time you're about to assassinate one.
Yes.
And talk about all of his mistakes and not his victories. This is great. Thanks for telling me this, by the way, 10 minutes ago, Ken. By the way,
I want it raw and original.
This is the pen I wrote my whole book with. A friend of mine bequeathed it to me in his will. Maybe you've heard of him, Billy Shakespeare.
Really? Yeah.
No, it was off of Amazon for $4. Got to keep Jeff Bezos in space so he's away from the rest of us.
That's right. So as we go through these, I want you to know that I have not watched this I have seen it, but it's got to be, years. So I can't remember what is there. You're going to dissect it. I want your point of view. I want you to tell our listeners what were you thinking, what happened, what the mishap was, or whatever. Let's go. Ready? First, number 10.
Are we allowed to curse on this?
Yeah, because, we do have a bleep button.
Why? On the internet, you don't have to bleep anything out. F that. I don't work for the Rockets anymore. I curse now.
There's kids watching this. My grandkids might be watching this at some point.
Your grandkids have definitely heard the word before.
Man, from my son, yes, they have. Okay, so the first one is planned.
Yes, complete bullshit. Not a real blooper. And about half of these are. So, yeah,
Okay.
That was a rehearsed skit that we all have done pretty much every year of our whole career.
You're doing musical chairs with the inflatable chairs, which I always thought was difficult.
I loved it because I didn't have to worry about scratching the floor. I could bang kids over the head with the chairs, as opposed to like the wrestling folding chairs, which would hurt the kids. Not that I'm above it. But honestly, the one thing I'll add about this skit is a shout out to the only boss that I ever liked. I had 11 bosses in 21 years. His name was James Wegerbauer. He goes by Wags. He's my second best friend in the world. Just spent 2 nights with him at a funeral of a dear friend. And he gave me the idea for Evil Clutch. So that basically that devil costume with Evil Clutch on the back. And most bosses in this league come in and they tell you, no, don't. They try to pull you back. And he just saw a natural mischievousness in my character. And he said, you know what? Let's lean into it. And let's give you this costume for some of these bits so that it tells the crowd and cues the crowd what to expect. And it'll cut down our complaint letters, and it'll also just be more fun, and you can be more you. And he's a genius. He was an ad exec. He still is an ad exec, a CMO, a great speaker, and totally took my career from where it was plateauing at the time and to the next level. And I'm very grateful to him. And again, I had 11 bosses. He's the only one I liked. That's not true. I like John Dillon too. But Wags really brought me to the next level.
Isn't it amazing with a little bit of just support and imagination and risk taking?
Yes, 100%.
Look what you can do. Okay. Yeah. And the other thing I want to mention on here is, so when I would do a similar bit, I would just put on a leather jacket. I would put on some type of, like biker looking,
to make yourself look a little edgy. I mean, it's in part because you're not as creative as me. You're much more lazy than me. I had to get an entire costume made. You just stopped at the thrift store on the way to the Pepsi Center and picked up a leather jacket. But yeah, it works the same way, Ken. Good job.
Well, yeah. So speaking of management,
I'm going to insult you the whole time because you just told me 15 minutes ago this whole thing is about insulting me and my 10 screw-ups.
Hey, well, let me, like I usually do, just shift the blame. That was back to management. Hey, as soon as they cut my salary, boom, lazy. No, I'm kidding.
I remember when they cut salary.
Yeah.
And I remember the numbers. And if you don't tell me to shut up right now, I'll start quoting them because I have a numbers mind and they're locked in. I remember what you were making and what they cut you to overnight.
Yeah. Yeah. That was brutal. Woo. Okay.
Don't say it, Robert.
Don't say it.
Okay.
Don't say it. We'll save it. We'll save it.
And I admire you, and what I put on Facebook yesterday, I meant every bit of it. You were simply the best. And I'm glad that this stuff is starting to come out now, and it is just a tip of the iceberg.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Going on to number 9.
So number 9 was intentional as well. They didn't know that management didn't know I was going to do that, or management wasn't out there, right? I mean, it was me and Dominic and our film crew. I had, and I want this to be very clear for any young performers watching, do not watch stuff on YouTube and then just think you can go out and do it. Call the performer and find out how he did it. I was very thin back then when I was in my running stages and boxing stages. I was wearing a medium-sized life jacket with a extra large life jacket on top of that under the costume. And Clutch was a big fat character, so you couldn't tell. But when I hit the water, I was completely buoyant with just not moving anything. Otherwise, I could have drowned. But we were out there shooting something on Tillman Fertitta's The Beast down in Kemah Boardwalk. He's now the current owner of the Rockets. And we did some jet skiing. I was on a tube behind the Beast. And it was this big speedboat that was a passenger one that held like 100 people. And I was like, we need some more jokes or something. And I was like, I'm going to fall off the side of this boat. So I did that one intentionally too. Not an actual blooper. We want stuff in the can, right? We want we get to a certain point and we're like, it's not enough. It's not enough. How many skits live on court did we do that, like all the planning and preparation and rehearsal where we thought this is going to be so funny? And it was maybe a 7 or 8 funny, but then the one thing that we did unplanned in the final seconds at the buzzer, just because almost out of desperation or, an improv thought, got the biggest laugh. Yeah. And it was like, okay, let's not plan anymore.
Yeah. So number 8.
I would say that's a blooper because that's not a tearaway jersey. My tearaway jerseys were not just perforated up top. That was all my jerseys. That's how I put them on and off. A tearaway jersey was perforated down the sides and under the undercarriage, or crotch, as you would say in a more refined way. And that was not a tearaway jersey. And that was my true attempt at running the ball in Jacksonville with the great Curtis Dvorak there playing Jackson. Never understood why Curtis invited me out to those parties every year because I was an NBA mascot. It made no sense for me to be there. I was not a local Jacksonville mascot, and I was not NFL, but we were buddies dating back to the beginning. And yeah, it took, I don't know, what is that, about 10 of those kids to take me down, and I was not going down. I was doing my damnedest to keep going, and they were pulling on the jersey. I always wore the underwear underneath because if I ever got in a jam, like I wasn't being funny or something, I had 2 go-tos in my career. Take your clothes off, and I always had the pink thong or the tighty whities on underneath, and that got a laugh. Or, and this is a classic, Dominic, always my assistant of 17 years, always had a streamer cannon in his bag. And I would take the streamer cannon, shoot it up in the air. And when everybody went like, ooh, look, streamers, like fireworks, I'd run away.
And from what I understand, you've carried that on since your career as well, those 2.
If you've been at any party of mine, and anybody that's lasted till midnight has absolutely seen me in nothing but a male thong. And I have at least a collection of 10 of them. I was doing it well before Will Ferrell did it on whatever late night show. That's a go-to gag. Actually did it in public lots of times at pools. Would go out with board shorts and then drop them until the internet was starting to become popular. And it was before social media, but one of my coworkers at the Rockets, it was not a Rockets function, but took a picture and then posted it next to Clutch in a group email saying, "This is who's hugging your kids." And I was freaked. They thought it was funny, and I immediately, and this is a very well-respected, well-accomplished executive to this day in politics and at the C-level and ownership level of several companies. And the second I sent her the email, please, get rid of that and tell everybody to delete it, she was like, oh yeah, I didn't think about that. And, the internet was developing, but I freaked.
I would
because
have
it was
too.
next to Clutch. It was like, no, I'm not really famous, and I don't want to be associated with the character except when it's something good. But don't take this out of context. I'm at an adult pool party and whatnot. Yeah, the thong's a go-to all the time. the streamer cannons have absolutely gotten fired in this house. And it is a bitch to clean up.
Okay, so number 7. Dude, I love this one.
That is a full-on blooper.
You got hurt. Yeah.
I ended up in the hospital, and I still have arthritis to this day in my lower left back from that.
What was supposed to happen there?
So that's Miguel Vargas there as Sly the Fox. We came up together. Miguel wasn't even a mascot when we met. He was a co-instructor at UCA, Universal Cheerleaders Association, when I was the mascot instructor. Sometimes he has credited me to his interest in mascotting, but I always brought Miguel down. And it was supposed to be your standard wrestling bit where I hit the tramp and then I just belly flop out about 8-10 feet, land on him, break the Granger table that we all buy for about, I don't know, a couple $100, and take the metal frame out from underside. It's straight out of the WWE. You know, as you know, in these costumes, you don't have the depth perception from down at the end of the court. That trampoline was supposed to be 8 feet away from the table. And in the moment, my assistant did not set it up properly. I take part of the blame because we didn't rehearse that part. We just walked through it and talked through it because at that point, guys were getting in for the birthday party and they weren't in time for the court rehearsal. My assistant wanted to run through that part in the back. And I was like, we got it. And, you know, things can get, you know, you're quick. You have to do these things in 2 minutes, you know, for quarter breaks. And there was a whole other scenario there. And the tramp didn't get set up right. And I didn't realize it until my feet were hitting the trampoline. And I said, oh, crap. And I tried to save it in the air by diving straight down. As you can see, completely missed, landed right on the top of my head. If it weren't for Clutch's big bulbous head that kind of cushioned the blow, I probably would have broken my neck. But I also pendulumed around and smacked my lower back on the ground. And, you know, we all try to pop up right away. And the best I could do is popped up and dropped an elbow on Sly, like the people's elbow, like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And then I tried to get up and nope, fell right back down because the pain shot right down my leg. And the only time in my life I can remember where I had no control of my lower extremity and went down, and Dominic had to drag me off the court. Our CEO was out of his seat in the back, you know, yelling at all of us, which helped a lot. Thank you, while I'm in pain and we've made a mistake, yelling at us for the mistake. Where was the mat? Where was the mat? And I'm trying to explain there was not supposed to be a mat. That wasn't what this is about. But, you know, nobody listens to us. They make a snap decision and, you know, there was supposed to be a mat. There was no mat needed. If I had just gracefully, he would have broken it. It would have been fine. I'd done that bit many times before. Screw up.
Let me ask you this. When you're saying you know the setup part of it was kind of rushed in order, you know, did you also think, well, yeah, this just makes sense. Like whenever, you know, when you set this up, this will just make sense to whoever, like your guy is setting it up.
100%. And I don't want to throw my assistant under the bus there because I also believe it makes sense to us because we're in the first person and it's obvious to the person in the costume doing the stunt. But to the assistants and to the production staff and the stagehands, they're not the ones thinking in the first person. So, yeah, sometimes a mascot, and in this case me, makes that mistake. And it's just like, oh, this is so obvious. I can't hit a tramp that's right up against the table and then land on the table that's inches away from the tramp. My inertia is going to carry my body. Yes. Was I mad? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I since come to figure out that was a big part of my fault. Yes.
Yeah. I have so many of those. I mean, so many of those.
Yeah.
And then it's, you know, getting in the back. And in my younger years,
What are you doing? What are you thinking? I would take the head off and throw it against the wall.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There was too many.
Oh, I've broken a couple heads, taking them
Oh yeah.
off. Once not in front of the fans and in my dressing room in private, and just taking that head off by the chin strap and thrown it against the wall as hard as possible. Too bad we didn't have cameras then in the dressing rooms. Those would have been great outtakes.
Oh my gosh. I'm telling you, I've broken like eyes. You know, I used to have the white part. Oh my gosh. I broke so many of those. Just boom across the room. Later on, I realized I got to take more responsibility for those things.
100%.
I'm coming full circle here with your, you know what? Yeah, take responsibility when you have something mess up. 99% of the time, whatever, it's your fault. Come on, you messed up. Yeah, you should have checked it. Then I got to where
it might seem obvious, but the other thing that you also, I think we need to think about is we're able to focus more because nobody can see our faces and our eyes. And there is a degree of self-consciousness when people can see your eyes and your face. I feel it as a public speaker at a much higher level than I did as a mascot. And you got to remember, these people are out there. Everybody sees their face, their eyes. So I think that can be a distraction as well. And you can get a little bit lost in the moment in front of 18,000. But yeah, the buck stops with us. As far as outburst in the back, I completely believe in them. I've never hit anybody, and I've never thrown anything at somebody. It was in frustration at a wall, and I believe in breaking shit. Because it's better to break shit than it is to hurt somebody or say words that you will regret. Yeah, we had some stuff to fix at times. It wasn't like this. I wasn't this abusive boss like some people tried to build up Ellen DeGeneres, which I don't think she is. Her latest special is great. I think it was because she was a woman boss and people skewered her. They wouldn't have skewered a man. Sorry, I digress. I'm a tangential, parenthetical, self-effacing talker and writer, just like the book. By the way, did I tell you I have a book coming out? Number 6.
No. Well, what's that title?
The title of the book is The Extraordinary Life of an Ordinary Man. Mascots, Marathons, Mayhem, Twins, Transplants, and Tattoos. And this is not a traditional mascot book. I would say a third of the book is about mascot-related stories, but most of them tied into those other 5 subjects. And the other 2/3 of the book is about those subjects exclusively. So this is, most mascot books that you've seen are like 30,000 words and kind of more message-driven. There's no overarching message in this book. I really don't like books that try to teach a lesson or tell people the secret of life because there's 8 billion people on the planet.
Guess I'll redo my book.
Yeah, you do whatever you want. You got something to teach. I'll ignore it, but I'll read it.
I love it. Okay, moving on to 6. Awkward.
That was a real blooper, and I was pissed. And I broke character there because I was mad. We can only see what we can see. For me, it was this. A lot of the guys in the league tried on my head in the locker rooms at times, and they were like, holy crap, how do you do this in there? I remember John Absey always saying that because he got to see like this, which is like sunglasses almost.
Or better.
Only see what you can see. And that guy, it's like, get out of the way, dude. And you're loitering. Good ball boys come out, they clean up, and then they run back like a tennis kid would do when they're getting the ball. And he's loitering, and I don't even see him, and he turns the whole Segway over during the T-shirt toss. And I didn't know what the hell happened at first. It turned me on my side, and the first thing you always worry about is, am I going to hurt somebody? Not yourself, because we know how to fall for the most part, except when you hit a trampoline and whatever. But, Am I going to land on that dancer there? Am I going to land on the security personnel? And that kid's on the move, and it's like, dude, get the hell out of my way.
Exactly. You know I can't see.
Right. I was pissed. Pissed. It was an honest mistake on his part, but a avoidable one, and just be present.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
Number 5.
That was all real. That was a real blooper. It was caught on live TV. My phone blew up. By the time I got back to my dressing room, my phone was already blowing up from friends watching at home, and our own announcers were throwing me under the bus. Clutch, what are you doing? And honestly, I think this is one of the few that I can say I didn't have responsibility on. This was other people's mess ups. Most of my bloopers and mess ups I can attribute mostly to myself, but with the limited vision on Clutch and that contraption, which was a traditional World War II air raid siren that we all started using to fire up the crowd, and it was on a base with wheels, and with my limited vision, when they told me to go, I went. And it was important to go quick because the whole thing is like, it's time for a hot timeout. And as you know, you want that time between timeout and excitement to be as short as possible. You also want the time at the end of the timeout and the ball going into play to be as short as possible so that there's not these bookend of dead air. And when I push that thing out, all I'm looking at is about 10 feet in front of me. That's where my vision is, so that I can see that I don't hit anybody, that I don't run into anybody. And I'm pushing it like a skateboard. And I'm just looking, and I'm also cranking as I'm pushing. So I got one foot on the base, one foot pushing like a skateboard, one hand on the thing, and I'm cranking with the other. And they told me to go. And it was a missed call from the table, and then it was a missed call from the tunnel coordinator, and they said, go, Clutch, go! And I went. And the play hadn't stopped. The ball got inbounded. It was against the Spurs, and Tony Parker's coming up the side of the court. If you could see from the broadcast, he's off to the side advancing the ball. I think it was Tony Parker. It was one of the Spurs coming down, and it's like, here I am, like, the hell with your game. It's time for me to do whatever I want. And, of course, that's how it looks. Nobody sees Clutch was cued wrong. They see Clutch is a narcissist that just thinks it's all about himself and his show, or he's dumb. He's stupid inside there.
That's all they see. That's all they think, too. And all the broadcasters are going to broadcast. Yeah.
Just for the record, and I'm a 50-year-old single dad of 4, and I have a dating profile, which is a hard thing for me to do years ago when I was Clutch, because I was like, I can't be on a dating profile, can I? That's terrible. But now I do. And right on that dating profile, I'm like, just because I was a mascot, don't make any assumptions. I have a 135 IQ, which is Mensa smart. I got 1220 on the SATs. I had a 3.6 GPA in college. I was given all these awards. So yeah, that's my little rant about we're not dummies. But they treat us, and I don't know many mascots that are dummies. You know, most of us are college educated, very smart people. I love the quote. I just attended a funeral yesterday, 2 days ago, of a dear friend who was the GM for the Rockets for years. And he and his wife were so near and dear to me and helped me. But one of the speakers says, you got to be really smart to play dumb. And I think that typifies mascots. The gesture in medieval England was almost always the smartest guy in the kingdom, because he knew how to walk the tightrope.
I love it. All right, let's go on to 4. I have one like this.
Tell me yours. Tell me yours. I mean, I'll tell you that it's simple.
Yeah. I mean,
What happened with yours?
well, I make a half court shot
Yep.
and this guy, starts to celebrate running right at me. Chris DeEuro. He comes running like kind of near me to celebrate. And he's one of our hype squad, like this guy, not flipping, but he just comes running and he's going to grab some shirts that are on, over here, but he comes running past me and I give it one of these like, yeah, like, like I just punch like, yeah, down like this and right into his crotch.
So he was the, yeah.
Wow.
I think I remember that actually. And yeah. And the crowd, of course, thinks, oh, Rocky did it for a laugh. And
yeah.
Like,
actually, most people didn't even catch it.
Oh, really?
He jumped to the side. I mean, just as I did, but I caught him, right? Like he saw it coming, couldn't get out of the way. Boom, I punched him right in the crotch. And he, you can see him just like, oh, and then he ran off.
You make this amazing half court shot. He's celebrating you. And you're like, thanks for celebrating me. Now let me punch you in the balls. That dude, I think honestly, if I think about the structure of an NBA entertainment show, you got part-timers like that. And, to a degree, they're not going to be in the loop as much as your full-timers, right? Your head dance director, your mascot, your tunnel coordinator, your game director.
Ball boy.
Yeah, I mean, these part-timers just, aren't going to know. And that was not the first time we had done that hot timeout. That was a standard thing. The robe, the Rocky gloves, the whole thing. And it was always a very dramatic finish. And everybody that was full-time knew, like, I'm going to walk out. And, of course, my head's going to be down like I'm a boxer walking into the ring, And also that was just maybe not all boxers do that, but that's how I felt like I should be. Down and serious. And when I got to midcourt, it would be a snap back of the head to toss that hood off and shuffle off the robe. And I dropped the gloves because they were so big, shuffle off the robe, pick the gloves back up, and then get all whatever. But I'm walking out seriously. I don't see anything. I feel like everybody knows I have a straight diagonal shot from the corner of the court where the tunnel was. And he was doing a tumbling pass and just not seeing what was happening out of the corner of the court when I started coming out, when he started his pass, and boom, right into me. I had no clue what I got hit by. I was like, what the heck just happened? And thank God he didn't get hurt, because
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, thank God. I mean, look at the way he's hitting me. But those guys are like, they have 9 lives. Like, he knew how to fall. Like, boom, he hit me completely inverted and popped right out of it and was fine. And then I got pissed.
You okay? Okay, now I'm pissed.
Yeah. Look, he kind of played it off by like fake boxing me. And I was like, you all right? And I was like, get out of my way. You're ruining that dramatic moment. That was a screw up, not meant to happen.
And that could have been worse.
Yes.
All right, we're down to 3. The Nutcracker.
That one was done right. I don't want to use the word stole from you. It was your bit. But I was a big believer, and I think we all were, in that we had this amazing quasi think tank as NBA mascots because we weren't truly in competition with each other because we were on the local stage, the local market. Social media changed that a little bit, but still, it's still the live local stage. And, we never looked at it as stealing. I can remember talking to you all the time, Mark Taylor, John Absey, and it was like the first thing I felt we all wanted to do when we would do one of our own originals that worked was call all our buddies and be like, dude, you got to try this. And then we would have success Wednesday night. They would have success with it Friday night. The real blooper there, obviously it's an intentional nut shot. And you taught me exactly how to do it with towels wrapped up underneath, duct taped to my legs, and to catch my self with my thighs and not really hurt my balls. Obviously, I have 2 sets of twins, so I accomplished the goal there. But the real story there is that was a huge blooper and one of the biggest mistakes of my career because I let my ego get away from me. What you don't know, Kenny, and I don't think I ever told you this because I think I was protective of it because I caught a lot of heat, rightfully so, but I attempted that. That was in the third quarter. That bit does not belong in the third quarter. That's a first half bit that's purely entertainment driven, and I attempted it in the first half. And when I hit the mini trampoline, I put one step on the beam, and I fell off to the right side and screwed the whole bit up. The whole bit doesn't make any sense if you don't land it and then nut shot yourself split. And it's the Nutcracker. It made no sense. The music, nothing. I had this $1,200 tutu outfit, and I got so tunnel visioned and myopic on and mad at myself for not delivering that. I wouldn't say forced because nobody forces somebody to do something, but I strongly influenced, and I had a very loud, I shouldn't say loud, I had a very influential voice at that time with the whole show to do the bit again in the third quarter, which is stupid. Who's going to roll out the same exact bit just so that I could nut shot myself? And it didn't get a big laugh. It didn't get people were like, why is he doing the same thing again? And that was one of the bigger mistakes of my career. Not understanding it spilt milk. You screwed up, bro. I screwed up. That was 100% on me. And then I compounded the mistake by redoing it, thinking like, I'm going to get this. I have too much vested in the outfit, and it's too funny of a joke. It would have been if I did it right like you have.
I can't think of a specific example right now, so forgive me. But I know that learning moment all too well. I have done that before. And you know what? It didn't work then. I know it'll work this time. You strongly suggest it. You get out there, and I've even gotten out there going, oh, I should have kept my mouth shut. I should have just let that go.
Yeah.
You know?
I know some of your stories. I'm not going to call you out there on those because I don't find them funny. That's for me to admit about myself. But yeah, I mean, it's painful when we look back like, ugh.
But it's a good learning experience.
It is. But I definitely regret it. Anybody that says they don't have regrets is an asshole. I regret that decision of forcing it the second time. It made my game ops director look bad. It made him look weak and ineffective, that he didn't have enough control over me or influence. I don't like the word control. Influence over me to tell me no and talk me out of it. And in that case, I was a bully, and I don't consider myself a bully. I'm a passionate fighter for what I believe in, but I was a bully then, and I regret it.
Yeah, I've got those moments too. You're not alone. All right, man. And you know, get it off your chest, man. It always.
Oh, speaking about my chest.
Oh, let me see this. I knew you'd wear a shirt. Come on, look at me becoming an author.
I love it. You don't say the curse word. It's like the Mormon in you. You're like, look at me becoming an author, and oh, everybody can read. I don't need to say it.
Exactly, right?
Robert Boudwin likes to do the joke and then explain why it's funny, which is extremely annoying. At least my ex-wives have told me that.
See, sometimes ex-wives, I love that.
Yes, multiple.
Yeah.
2 sets of twins by each 2 different marriages. Because God cursed, bless me. God bless me with twins. I'm going to write it on the chalkboard 100 times. God bless me with twins.
I love it. Okay, on to number 2. Oh, that was in my house.
Yes, it was.
Oh, I remember that one all too well. Boy, you were
not
feeling good after that.
Could you hear that?
That crack?
I just did it again. That's when that started.
No.
You know, the neck doctor told me that when you do that and it cracks, it's gas or air
Uh-huh.
or some kind of gas escaping between your vertebrae where the discs are.
Uh-huh.
That's where that problem started for me. It's much less painful now that I'm not performing and wearing a heavy head every day, but it happened right there. And I remember the whole right side of my body going tingly, not necessarily numb, but tingly. It scared the heck out of me. Because I literally thought, did I break something in my back like you did? Did I permanently injure a nerve? And listen, it's no secret. I was not a gymnast by trade, and I was one of the worst dunkers in the league. I think my only true talent, and, I've talked to a lot of our best friends. Oh, you were so talented. You were a storyteller. You were a sketch writer. You were a comedian. You were an improv artist. Yeah. Great. I mean, talent. Like, you have the ability to do acrobatic stuff and dunk and true talents. I mean, physical talents. My only real talent was balance. And I had done things like the ball and I had good balance. I could do the rollerblade ramp, slingshot, dunk every time, never missed. I played ice hockey. But I struggled to be a dunker, and you guys always had that ramp or that tramp back further than I was comfortable with. You remember, we always had to move it in for me and one or two other guys.
Yep.
And I didn't hit it right, even though it was moved closer. And I was reaching and overextending, and I got a hold of that rim, and I did not bring my dunking gloves. I had dunking gloves, and they were baseball batting gloves on the front, and I forgot them. And I had my normal fur gloves. So when I grabbed that rim, I had my fur gloves on, and I hung on to it because that was how I came down safely. I wasn't a good gymnast, and I would wait for my body to swing up, boom, and then I'd come down. And right when I swung up, the fur gloves slipped right off the edge. I went down, and that folded my right knee right up into my face. I mean, I folded in half and just went boom. Ooh, boy, that scared the crap out of me. And yes, it was in your house.
Yeah. I remember back in the locker room.
If I die, you have to take care of my 4 kids financially.
Okay.
Listen,
Okay.
I'm just kidding. When I left the Rockets, I got a huge severance. It's right here. I still haven't cashed in on it yet. I'm waiting for gold to appreciate a little bit more. I really appreciate that severance the Rockets gave me. This is you don't have to take care of my kids. I got it right here.
Why does that sound plastic?
Something wrong with the audio.
Okay. All right. Are we to what, 2 or what?
I'm hilarious. Just ask me.
Just ask me. Okay, we're down to 1.
Okay. Yeah, she says no to the marriage proposal on Valentine's Day. That was on Valentine's Day, I think 2011. The funniest part here is when I'm taking him off the court, and I don't know if this video captures it or not, but I'm trying to console him, and there's some random dude there drinking a beer, and I snatch the beer from the dude. I'm like, hey, bro, this guy needs that more than you. So that bit went uber viral. It was, I guess, when social media was starting to break, but not as popular as it is now. But it broke on YouTube. We got calls from around the globe. A game show in Japan did a special on it, and they were calling, and the media guy was calling me like 3 times a day. How do you want me to answer this? How do you want me to answer this? And I say, you don't. You just say, it was very unfortunate, no. But the whole thing was set up. They were not dating. The woman was married. She was in our corporate sales department. Rachel went on to a very successful career with Memorial Hermann. My other buddy there was not married, but not dating her. Mark Williams. And like, I don't know if you had this happen, but there's a lot of bad parts of this career, a lot of loneliness, a lot of isolationism, a lot of I feel like a necessary evil, but there's a lot of amazing moments. And at the height of my career, I had people in the office just literally clamoring and begging me to be in skits. So I was very fortunate that I didn't have to go out looking for quote unquote actors or plants. People were lining up with the cake bit that I got from you and kind of amped up more aggressively where I did it much more violently in the end. I had a sign up sheet. We called it Wear the Cake. And it was like 20 people long. And I was just like, the only fair way to do this is, and I sent out an email to the whole staff saying, boom. And within 3 minutes, there was people there trying to get their name on in order. But they were great. And we rehearsed the crap out of that. And then once we got it to a point where it was great, then we rehearsed it to make it look authentic. Because if you over rehearse it, then it looks staged and mechanical and forced. And then I was like, no, and you're coaching untrained actors, so they're not like a pro actor would step in and be like, I got it, bro. Don't give me a line read. But with them, they couldn't have pulled it off better. And it was due to their dedication in the days prior of us rehearsing it and me go like, that doesn't look believable or authentic. And they sold it. It didn't hurt that the video that went live was the two announcers, Bill Worrell and Calvin Murphy. Just saw at this funeral 2 days ago for the first time in years. Did not know. Our broadcasters almost never knew about our in-arena stuff. And they were talking. The timeout came back early, and they were like, here's another one of these proposals. It's Valentine's Day. Just one time I'd like to see somebody say no in one of these situations. And, no, is she saying no? And they had no clue. And they were joking about somebody saying no. And then they were like, oh my gosh, she's saying no. And they totally bought it. And that was what really led to the authenticity of it going viral from a video sense.
Awesome.
Poor Rachel, because people were yelling at her obscenities and horrible names on the way out because it was so believable. And she hid the rest of the game. Mark was a freaking hero. He went up to the concourse, didn't pay for a beer the rest of the night. Everybody was buying him beers. That one was completely planned on Valentine's Day. If you look back, and I love these people online that are like, it's staged. Listen to this. Great, Sherlock. Thank you. It's also called entertainment. Enjoy it for what it is. But, if you think about it, our announcer, and I know we don't have audio here, our announcer played Love Stinks right as I'm consoling him. That would have been a little bit too quick of a DJ move to have that quick. So, some of those little tells, and I played it as like, what the hell is happening right now? Are you serious, lady? Say no to, or say yes to him now and say no to him later. But yeah, that was set up.
I love it. I remember that moment too. I got it in my office. Dude, did you see what happened? Everybody in my office bought it.
Yeah, and you were like, wait a minute, was Clutch involved? And they were like, yeah. And you were like, that's Boudwin setting stuff up. You suckers.
I'm like, hey, man, that's rough. I always played right into it.
Oh, you played into it?
Oh yeah. I'm like, yeah. Well, really, man, I'll have to call him on that one, man. See how that was, But
hey, can I share something with you real quick?
Absolutely.
So, without going too deep about your religious beliefs. I struggle with my faith.
That's a good lead in,
Yeah, that's a great segue, Robert.
right?
I struggle with mine. My best friend of 39 years since sixth grade is a Presbyterian minister in the Washington, D.C. area. He's married to a Jewish woman that worked her whole career at the CIA and now the White House. They have twins, too. I feel like it's the premise of a sitcom coming to NBC next fall. But we are best friends and we talk about all manner of things. And I've always kind of been agnostic, which is the ultimate cop out. I don't know and I don't care. Life is finite. I'm going to live it as good as possible kind of thing. And I don't talk a lot about this in my book. I just have one chapter and it's probably one of the shortest chapters. And I'm kind of politically agnostic, meaning I'm a moderate on most things. And I think most Americans are. And my gravestone is to have this. And if you can't read it, and it says, when I was born, and then below, a long time from now, and then it says, I was expecting to be back in 3 days. Now, some of your listeners that are super religious might be offended by that. And what I would tell them is God gave us a sense of humor, so be mad at God. And I believe, and this is God's honest truth, if there is a God, my gift on this planet was to make people laugh. And I want my forever legacy to make people laugh. And 200 or 300 years from now, if the world's not destroyed, some family's going to be walking through a graveyard after they're boo-hooing about Grampy, and they're going to see some jackass's tombstone that says, I was expecting to be back in 3 days. It's going to be a slow cooker for a second. It's going to hit them that I'm making a second coming Messiah joke, and they're going to laugh their ass off because they're going to realize I'm being intentionally funny. The first iteration of that joke was, I was expecting a pyramid. But I came up with that one, and I think it's much better.
I love that. It's so funny that you're saying that right now. We literally had this conversation, me and my boys, the other day. What do we want on our headstones? And I was literally trying to come up with something funny. That takes the cake right there.
There you go.
Yeah,
Use the pyramid one. Yeah, and we're not going to die for a long, long time. So don't think that this is like jinxing us.
And I'll say this. If you want some entertainment, just people go on the internet just randomly to get entertained. If you want a quick smile, follow Robert Boudwin. We always, me and the boys, we're always like, oh my gosh, what costumes do they have or what t-shirts do they have on right now?
You know how people can follow me, by the way? You're going to love this because this was a slow cooker that I just, I bought a website 8 years ago when I left the Rockets, and I haven't done much with it. I should say I bought a domain. So my website is robertboudwin.com. Nobody knows how the hell to spell Boudwin. I got mascotexpert.com. I got mascotauthor.com. I got those things. But the one thing that was available for only $18 a year was clutchthebear.com.
No way.
So go type in clutchthebear.com and it will send you straight to robertboudwin.com. And at the top of that page, you can buy my book. The pre-sale's on now. It's due in from the printers in mid-November. I already have about 50 pre-sales sold. Just went on sale at the end of last week for pre-sales. And that's how I'd like people to follow me. But I'm sorry, I digress to self-promote again, shamelessly.
Absolutely, and as you should. Hey, I'll tell you what. To end this, I was going to ask you the biggest question of all.
Yeah.
Where do you get your t-shirts made?
I should invest in a t-shirt company. But like I tell my kids and everybody else that asks, Kenny, things in this world only come from three places. All right? God, Walmart, or Amazon. I get mine from Amazon. My biggest addiction in life is novelty t-shirts. I probably have 400. And I get one for every occasion.
I know that. I see that.
You name it. Holiday. I have National Slinky Day t-shirt? Who has that? Who even thinks that exists? All these people think I'm some genius, that I'm coming up with these ideas and getting custom printed. Jeff Bezos has it, man.
Jeff. I love it. All right, brother. Thank you so much for your time. This was great. Oh man, you're a legend.
You're a legend. Congratulations on an amazing run, on 32 years, on going out on your terms. And I know a lot of this is still breaking news and some sensitive stuff that I won't broach, but I am looking online every day. And I really, and I'm just going to be amorphous here. I really love to see karma happen. And maybe it's not like John Lennon sings about it, instant karma, but it's coming. And I can't wait to see some people get their asses handed to them.
I always tell my boys, I've said this for years, what goes around comes around.
And it's coming around now. I'm a fan, brother. I'm a fan of your career. I'm a fan of you as a man, as a father, and I'm a fan of this podcast. Keep doing it.
Right back at you, brother. Love you. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. And now you know that there is a person inside there, a living, breathing human with emotions and feelings. If you would like your friends and family to know what is between the fur, please share. See you next time on Between the Fur.